Oh, hi! You might be wondering why we're doing this review here. Well, because I'm coming full circle as I look at The Lion King 1.5. I first started this show on July 25th, 2010 with a review of Cats and Dogs, and on Blip TV, may it rest in peace. And the video after that is a review of The Lion King 2, though it was technically the first one I ever made. It was done for a Disney sequel collab on a forum from That Guy with the Glasses. And you can tell that I've been doing this for a little over 14 years. With who knows how many episodes up to this point. I'm at a point where I want to put more effort into creating fiction rather than critiquing it, so this channel will still put out reviews, but at a slower rate than we're used to. This show will end for real if and when I cover a certain Persona remake. But for now, let's talk Lion King. Besides the first sequel, I also reviewed the first movie, but not its CG remake. It only makes sense I do 1.5 because it was the last 2D project for that series, until The Lion Guard years later. And this movie focuses on the comedy duo of Timon and Pumbaa, and its aim is to tell the same story from the first Lion King through their eyes. Knowing that, I think I can be a little more open to what this movie is about. Even though it's nothing like the Animaniacs-inspired show, Timon and Pumbaa, it's still incredibly silly. So without further ado, here's Timon and Pumbaa the movie. Lion King 1.5. It opens just like The Lion King did, but with a twist.
What's on the menu? Here could be some shake sticky. Well, enough of that.
And now you know why I'm reviewing it this way. Now, most of the original voice cast returns here, like Nathan Lane, Ernie Sabella, Matthew Broderick, etc. The one exception is Jonathan Taylor Thomas, who's replaced by Matt Weinberg for Cub Simba. Naturally, the movie lets you know right away that this is going to be an absurd story, since that's how Timon and Pumbaa roll.
Behind the scenes for a revealing and intimate look at the story within the story.
Because what they don't know is how we really were there, even though they didn't know we were.
If we're gonna have an unnecessary backstory for characters that don't really need it, why not have a bit of fun? So using a magic remote, or maybe this is just a home theater set, Timon and Pumbaa rewind the movie to before the beginning, just outside of Pride Rock. Way outside of Pride Rock, we get an actual fun song. Even the composers for the first movie, like Elton John and Lebo M, come back for this. And this one song establishes how meerkats in this world operate, which resembles a Disney-fied version of real-life meerkat colonies. It's obviously not on par with the original Lion King, but it's still very catchy in its own right. Sadly, there are only 2 original songs in this movie, and they both come very early. Anyway, let's meet some new characters. First is Ma, voiced by Julie Kavner, aka Marge Simpson, who is Timon's overprotective mother. Jerry Stiller voices Uncle Max, who's pretty level-headed most of the time, but is constantly annoyed by one thing.
That would be
Timon! Hey, everybody!
Hi, Dr. Nick!
So yeah, Timon is the colony misfit. He's not happy about spending his entire life digging holes for his kind to hide in, so Ma has to give him the kind of talk that Mufasa had with Simba.
Look out to the horizon. Past the tree, everything the light touches belongs to someone else.
It's funny, but also kind of reflective of how low the meerkats are in the pecking order. Hell, Max keeps butting in with how they're just food for other animals and crap. Ma wants her son to fit in better, so now he's taking up sentry duty, because even he can't screw up the 3 essential steps.
scurry, sniff, flinch! Scurry, sniff, flinch! Scurry, sniff,
Flinch!
Maybe without the yelling. But while Timon does this, he ends up getting into a rhythm that leads into the other original song. It's a slow start, but it also gets pretty enjoyable once he daydreams about what he's gonna do.
I'll tell you what I want, this cat is moving on, but he's a bone of his own, who's missing out on the bone, like me a bigger cheese, far from the desert sea.
The melody they use is also from a deleted song from the first movie called The Warthog Rhapsody. That's neat. But Timon fails to notice the three named hyenas, Shenzi, Bonsai, and Ed, who come up to mock him before initiating their attack on the colony.
Whoa, look at him scramble!
But at least the Meerkats made it underground before they could kill anyone.
Where's Uncle Max?
Oh no, not Uncle Max! I sure hope nothing happens to him!
Wait is the look for...
Well, way to kill the mood there. Who would put in a random commercial? Loki! They resume and it looks like Max got caught, but it's just his rear fur, which grows back in the next shot. The hyenas just leave because they got their fill of fun from scaring the weak and helpless, and the other meerkats blame Timon for almost getting everyone killed.
We're all gonna laugh about this someday. Trust me.
I did trust you.
That's a pretty heavy scene that's done well for a sequel movie. Even Timon knows how badly he messed up, so he decides to just go elsewhere despite Ma's wishes. In the end, she accepts.
Mom, choking, not breathing.
Be careful.
I will. Ma, I'm not a kid anymore. Oy. What? What? Goodbye, Ma!
And off he goes, to where no meerkat has ever seen before.
Mommy! Mommy!
Oh, you dumbass. And then comes the ever-convenient, omnisentient monkey, aka Rafiki. He's the one to teach Timon about Hakuna Matata, which fits the stress-free life that the meerkat always wanted. But he's also told to look beyond what you see, and it takes a moment for him to notice a big-ass rock mountain that looks familiar.
I'm going to the big pointy rock! Right?
I friggin' love Nathan Lane's performance in this. A lot of wit and humor that's perfect for a movie like this. Back to the story, Timon feels like a stalker is nearby. He eventually catches said stalker, and it turns out to be our favorite warthog, Pumbaa. He's been tailing him because he looks all alone, which is something one shouldn't say to strangers. And Pumbaa is alone because of his obvious flatulence. Not that Timon knows this yet, but for now, they're just acquaintances rather than friends.
Oh. Well, it's a start.
But hey, they both love eating insects, and then we get the opening from The Lion King again. But with Timon and Pumbaa. Then the animals start stampeding.
And to protect me, a great big fat guy.
You really think I look fat?
You're a pig. It's a compliment.
Okay, I'll allow it. Now comes the portion of the movie where Timon and Pumbaa explain how they were around during the first movie. You know that part where all the animals started bowing before the new prince? Well...
Oh, look! The riders are bowing!
Ooh, we better bow too. Look, sire, how they kneel before the royal son.
So, if that didn't happen, would the animals just refuse to bow before the monarchy? And yeah, Timon isn't too bothered by how Pumbaa repels stuff, since he spotted a place to live outside of Pride Rock. But you can tell that he's taking advantage of his acquaintance and only keeping him around for protection. The jerk even takes the large bed made for Pumbaa, forcing him to sleep in the tiny one.
What a little asshole.
The next day, they wake up to Simba's big song from the first movie, even though lions don't age that fast. And of course, it's during the part with the animal tower that Timon does something really stupid with.
Knock it off!
So, time to move again. Pumbaa suggests the oasis, but Timon doesn't listen to him. So their next home is... the elephant graveyard. But they watch Mufasa fighting the hyenas and think better of it, only to find themselves in Scar's lair. It's great timing too, with the hyenas doing their little Nazi march for their leader.
Traveling company of Riverdales.
And yes, those two were even in the little valley where the big tragic event happened, with them fleeing the stampede by going off a waterfall. Timon decides to give up and go home, but Pumbaa can't do that because he has no family, even though warthogs live in groups. I have to wonder what the hell happened to the poor guy. It can't be due to flatulence, because they would all have that. But hey, at least Timon starts softening up to him.
You're the only friend I've ever had. You mean? Yeah, Pumbaa. And friends stick together to the end.
Yay, he's not a jerk to him anymore. And the next day they found the oasis Pumbaa was talking about.
Forget about your place. Get a load of what I found.
Well, at least they're friends now. Timon tries to remember what Rafiki told him, but then something funny happens.
12 letters.
A blue enchilada.
Rhymes with-
Hey, goons on a bladder.
Think.
This ought to be harder.
But Pumbaa does actually say it, and this leads to a new version of the song with subtitles we can all sing along to.
Hakuna Matata. Ain't no passing grave. It means no worries. Pumbaa, where's the grub?
You know, given what happens at the very end, are those two unable to eat sentient bugs? That was fun, but back in the Meerkat colony, Rafiki informs Ma about her son and how he's taking Hakuna Matata a little too literally. So time for her to look for Timon with Max.
Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step.
Thanks. Here's my first step.
Aw, I wanted to see how he'd react. This leads to Timon and Pumbaa spotting buzzards and scaring them off, only to run into a cub who looks very familiar.
Then came the really scary part. Parenthood.
And now for 2.5 Men! This sequence switches between The Lion Sleeps Tonight and Jungle Boogie, as Simba keeps asking Timon to take him to the bathroom, even though no one else lives here. Then the cub does something reckless. Timon is certainly getting annoyed, but that stops during the 4th night when Simba says,
Actually, I had a bad dream.
It's funny. The movie is almost always comedic, but when it tries to be serious or heartwarming, it manages to do that too. Simba's probably replaying that moment he saw his father die and is traumatized by it. But without asking for details, Timon just lets the cubs sleep with him and Pumbaa. We also get some background music that maybe originated from this movie, and it's fitting. That's good closure to a stage of parenthood where the kid is a handful, but parents still care about him. We now hit the next stage with Simba in his adolescent form, and he sounds like a teenage stoner.
Looks like someone woke up on the wrong side of the warthog. What's the matter, Pops? Had a little too much Hakuna Matata?
I never thought I'd say this, but I want to see this version of him more. We get that chance when Simba challenges Timon to some snail eating. They even have the good, the bad, and the ugly playing in the background. Gross? Yes. But also funny. Timon laments over the fact their little boy is all grown up now, and he is during the next scene, which also leads back to the spa bath that they brought up before, except there's a reason why there's one at all.
Think I'll turn in for the night.
Well, it could have been that one Family Guy bit. No, I'm not gonna show it. So the bachelor life is good for them. But then Nala shows up, Simba fights her while Sora and friends break it up. That last part may or may not have happened. Now some real retconning begins, because Timon doesn't like the fact that Simba is hitting on a girl. He tries sabotaging the lions' time together with Pumbaa's help, but it's all for nothing. Not that it mattered, because Simba doesn't want to go home to Pride Rock. Timon is obviously happy, but Pumbaa is 50-50 about this. Then after a funny transition, we have the bit where they learn that Simba's a prince. But instead of their surprised reaction like in the first movie, Nala takes time to explain everything while those two have running inner monologues.
Poor Simba, the treachery, the villainy, the sheer indescribable horror.
Blah, blah, blah. Why is she toying with us? Oh, this crazy chick is gonna eat us.
And honestly, this part is a bit clunky since there's still Timon's arc of wanting to be independent and living the good life, even if it goes against how he reacted in the original movie. This is a common pitfall for this sort of film and leads to a lot of retcons and confusion. I also remember Timon reacting to Rafiki showing up and not knowing who he was in the original Lion King, so there's that issue too. Anyway, Pumbaa wants to follow Simba since it's not Hakuna Matata without him, but Timon doesn't want to since he doesn't want to give up his new life. But he realizes too late that it's never Hakuna Matata without anyone to share it with. Rafiki shows up, and Timon goes on about how everyone abandoned him, but after some reflection, the latter realizes that his friends were his Hakuna Matata. So now he has to catch up to Pumbaa and Simba and runs off.
Thanks. I'm glad we had this talk.
My work here is done.
But you didn't do anything.
Exactly.
And then we get the scene of Pumbaa running like Simba did during that one scene. Or at least tries to. Of course, this is done to get Timon to admit that they're friends and they must stick together. And now for the most important thing they did in the movie.
Wow! If you're hungry for a hunk of fat and juicy meat, eat my buddy Pumbaa here because he... Let's just cut to the chase, shall we?
Oh, sure.
What? It was funny though! So most of what happens here is when Simba and Nala confronted Scar for the final battle. Even Ma and Max show up and finally reunite with Timon. And now is a good time for the Meerkats to show what they can do. Digging tunnels to trap the hyenas. Now Timon and Pumbaa have to play bait.
You know, something's different about Timon.
You think?
He's wearing a dress!
Hey, he looks good in it. Shut up. But instead of having Pumbaa ramming into the hyena trio, he's stalling them with Timon doing a bunch of shenanigans.
Shenzi Marie Predatora Veldetta Jackalina Hyena. Would you do me the honor of...
Becoming my bride?
I don't think so.
The trap was supposed to go off, but the last support stick gets stuck. Timon decides to do a brave thing by diving under the hyenas to force the trap into working. What good timing! Now the hyenas can eat a lion. Ma panics over Timon, but he comes out just fine. Even Max is proud of his nephew, and we fast forward to the bit where Timon and Pumbaa are with Simba in Pride Rock for his big moment. And later, after Timon takes his family to the oasis, we see that they brought the other meerkats too. So now they can all live in peace. That would be the end, but in the theater, Ma shows up and wants to watch the movie from the beginning by rewinding it. And wait, there are other Disney characters watching this now? What?
Hey, down in front.
Gorge!
Oh crap, they're bleeding in. We must be near the end of the review. Okay. Short version, Lion King 1.5 is actually really funny. Long version, it might not make a whole lot of sense and contradicts the first movie a bunch, but it's made in good fun, because this movie knew what it wanted to do. It had a consistent tone, but it doesn't completely take the piss out of its source material by being genuinely sad or heartwarming sometimes, which sets it apart from other Disney sequel films. Most of the jokes are funny, there's some good music, end of story. I'm the Media Hunter, and I'll see you in a few months, but first, movie time again.
I still don't do so well in crowds.
Oh, let's do this.